Why you can't do this, lead with the hips in the downswing, and that's because you are missing two key moves in your swing, and if you don't do these two moves, you will not be able to lead with the hips in the downswing. But not to worry, because I'm going to explain exactly how to do these two moves in detail, and I'm also going to give you two drills to do at the end of the video that will get you leading with your hips. So the first move you absolutely need, and that is maintaining your hip depth in the swing. So what is that? That is where we are keeping our hips moving back, especially that backswing, moving that right hip back, because then that is the only way we can then get that left hip to move back and open up. So absolutely non-negotiable. Look at Dustin Johnson here. So you can see with Dustin Johnson, what is he doing? That red line behind him, he is moving back to where that pelvis is staying on that line. Sometimes you even see with Dustin Johnson, he will actually have that right hip move back from that pelvis line. So incredibly important. So like I said, that is the only way then you can keep that left hip moving back in the downswing, as you're seeing Dustin Johnson do here. So what I see with most golfers is they will be coming to me in a lesson and they'll be going, I just can't rotate, can't clear my hips, can't do anything with them. Maybe I'm just not flexible. And then you see them at the top of the swing, moving the hips forward as they complete that backswing. There is no chance from there that you are going to clear and you are going to open up those hips in the downswing. It is not going to happen, because if you did that, moving the hips forward in the backswing, and then try to clear the hips going in the downswing, that's just going to force that right hip forward, and that's going to make you pull yourself more off the line, and it's going to make you just early extend. So you need to keep that right hip back, and you need to then, of course, get that left hip going back in the downswing. But most importantly, moving that right hip back in the backswing. I can't stress this enough, you have to do it. And that's like someone's grabbing your right trouser pocket and gradually pulling it back there. That's the only chance you've got. So the second move we need is with your arms, funnily enough. And that is making sure we're giving ourselves time with our arms at the top of the swing. So I really want to feel like my arms are being extremely patient at the top. They're really staying there, really moving extremely slow, if not feeling like they're not moving at all. That will give myself time in the transition to clear and open up my hips. So believe it or not, I was feeling there, feel is the word, that my arms are really staying patient at the top and letting things unwind in that downswing, allowing time for that left hip to move back. Because what I see so often from golfers is they are not clearing the hips in the downswing, not leading with them, because they're leading with their arms. They're so eager to hit that golf ball that they are just firing those arms immediately in the downswing. If you are naturally athletic, got an abundance of fast twitch muscle fibers, or you're just incredibly strong in the arms, then you could still hit some decent distance shots. You'll require a ton of timing, but you're just never going to have your hips in the swing if you're being very quick with your arms at the top of the backswing. So this is where we need to copy someone like Rory McIlroy, for example. Now, Rory has a tendency of getting those arms moving fast in the downswing ahead of the rest of his movement, and he will just drop those arms down. Rory, when he's really playing well, he will have a feeling like his arms are just staying there for a couple seconds at the top, and that gives him time for everything else to move, and then for everything else to move in good sequencing in the downswing. But a lot of you will be thinking out there, won't that feel just make me stuck? If I keep my arms there and I rotate, that will generally just get everything trapped behind. It won't, but this will. And that's what leads us to the absolutely swing wrecking don't do this in regards to leading with your hips. So one, what gets people stuck in that downswing from leading with the hips is they're leading with the wrong side. They are, as soon as they start coming down, right hip driving it forward. I see so many people in YouTube comments even coming in for lessons, and they'll be saying that they're trying to clear the hips, trying to lead with them via turning with the right hip. They're more right side dominant, so they find it easier to do that. But if you get that right hip moving forward straight away, what's going to happen there? Your whole right side's going to go towards the golf ball. That's going to get you stuck because your right side's moved forward, your arms haven't along with it. So then you're going to get stuck, then you have to fire the arms going through there. I see a lot of players shank the golf ball from doing that. So we don't want it to happen with the right side. We want, like we just said, the left side to go back. We ideally want the right side to stay where it is and then move that left side back there. So that's one of them. Two, trying to actually rotate your hips. Now, I'm saying it's very, very counterintuitive for sure. But players, again, who try to absolutely rotate and spin their hips, what do they do straight away? Again, they will start to fire that right hip forward, that right heel will crazy lift up, and they won't match up the move with that, which is excessive side bend. If you do that move, I'd advocate not doing that. But again, it's just from the conceptual thing of them trying to spin with those hips open. So that's where we don't want to try and rotate. We don't want to try and turn the hips. We want to get the hips going back. Like we said, right hip back in the backswing, left hip back in the downswing. So that's where you can just feel like you're going back with that left hip, getting deeper, and that opens you up and rotates you. And if you continue to feel like that left hip is going back and back and back and back and back, then you are leading the entire downswing with your hips. And the good thing, when that left hip goes back, the upper body goes down into flexion. Left hip's going back, upper body goes down. That keeps the club under your control and in front of the pivot. So that's why left hip going back does not get you stuck. It moves the club more in front through forward flexion, where right hip going back is an extension movement, and then that gets the upper body extending, moving yourself behind, getting stuck. So absolutely, left hip going back, really important. Keep that right side back too. So the two drills here we can actually use as a little routine, and I'm going to show you the patient arms first and then for the hip depth after, because we can use both of those really nicely together as a little routine. So patient arms, we want those arms to really stay there, really then to give ourselves time. Remember that Rory McIlroy feel. So if we get up to the top there, then take one arm off, it can be either arm, put then whatever hand is free on the butt end of the club, and then what I want you to do there is have a little turn into the downswing, get that left hip going back, and then put no pressure into the butt end of the club. No pressure into it. Say, why no pressure? Is because then, of course, we won't be doing anything with the arms, and then we're keeping the hands and arms up there, and we're turning. But here's the thing, guys, look at what's happening to the club shaft. See how it's shallowing? And it's excessively shallowing, to be honest, but you can see it, how much that move affects how the center of mass of the golf club moves, pitching a little bit behind, shallowing out. So for a lot of you who want to shallow the club, this is going to be absolutely awesome for you. So again, up to the top, I like to always take my right hand off, put on the butt end of the club, get that left hip going back, leave the hands and arms where they are, nice and loose. Boom. That's a great one to do. And of course, then try to replicate that exact same feeling. There we go. That'll be a brilliant one to go about and practice. So the second drill here for the hip depth, and it's a favorite drill of the channel, and that is the chair drill. So a lot of you are very familiar with this who early extend. Now, why this is going to be so good is because having this chair here right at the back of the hamstrings, we're going to focus on pushing that chair back with the right hip in the backswing. Remember, it's like someone's grabbing your right trouser pocket, pulling it back. And then in a downswing, we want to immediately then start to push that chair back in the downswing with the left hip and continue to push it all the way through the shot until we're in our finish. So it really trains that movement. So of course, what we want to do, because this is a drill that really targets the entire pivot, or a lot that's happening in the swing, start slow and controlled. So I'm just going to do a really slow one, just trying to push it back in the backswing as well as I can with the right, and then in the left in transition. So of course, I'm trying to really focus on as well those nice slow arms at the top, giving myself time to turn, pushing the chair back. Boom. There we go. So, an absolutely awesome one. Of course, when you feel more comfortable, then just build up that speed, get it going a little bit faster. Of course, this will be a while until you could probably do this, go a little bit faster at it. A lot of you jump past this portion of practice, the slow one, because it's boring. Yeah, it is. It's very boring doing the slow kind of controlled ones, but you have to do it because you're retraining a new motor pattern. You have to start slow. We don't learn anything brand new doing it fast. It's impossible to do. So then you can build it up fast when you're used to it and then go from there. So that's going to be a great one to go about and do. And as well, what are you doing? You're just pushing the chair back. What is that doing? That's turning, that's rotating them. You don't need to try and turn or rotate the hips. You just move your hips deeper in both portions of the backswing and downswing. So backswing moving it back, downswing moving it back. You're going to clear them, you're going to lead with them, you're going to turn them. So of course, a little routine, absolutely. What would that be? Getting up to the top of the swing, putting your hand on the butt end of the club, the one that's free, keeping it up there, putting no pressure into that hand, getting that left hip moving back. You could do a bunch of those, 3 to 5 of those reps, and then hit 3 to 5 balls with the chair drill, feeling the exact same thing at the top of that backswing going into the downswing with your hands. So feeling like hands and arms are staying there. And push the chair back. Again, I would recommend doing it slow. And then go from there. So if you do this, like I said at the beginning of the video, you will start leading with your hips. You've got to be very disciplined with it. And you've got to really make sure that you are keeping that right hip back. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had students come to me say they can't clear the hips. They can't turn them, they can't rotate them. They feel like they're incredibly inflexible, and then they are getting up to the top of their swing and they're lifting and moving that pelvis forward. You're not going to do it from there. That's why this is such an important thing, and I can guarantee vast majority of all of you out there are doing it. Even if you just want to rotate better, you want to shallow the shaft better, that will be a great drill to do. So this is why this is applicable to so many golfers out there, not just the ones wanting to move their hips better. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button and hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So guys, brilliant news. My courses are now available on the Skillist website. So you don't have to go and purchase them and watch them on your app. On a small phone, you can go onto your desktop, purchase and watch the courses on the Skillist site. So whether it's the ultimate guide to rotation in the downswing, the ultimate guide to fixing your over the top, or the complete guide to shallowing the golf club, they are all there on the Skillist website. So all you have to do is go to the Skillist site, click on courses, and there you can see the courses right there. Mine are there, as you can see, and you can even type in the name of the course you want and it will pop up for you there. There's also a link to all the courses down in the description also.